Hey, Varun and Jeffrey. So Varun, I see that you're in attendance. Thank you for joining. Okay, and we have another student that's just joined, Shivangini. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Um, so my name's Ariane, and I'm here with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, are you there? I think he's on mute. Let me just get my earphones as well, so you guys could hear me clearly. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here and just yeah.
Can you hear me, by the way? Am I audible?
Yep, everything's good.
Cool. It might be clearer if I have my earphones, so let me just get those. Maybe we'll start in a few minutes, maybe 3 more minutes or 5 more minutes. We'll just wait for some others to join. But in the meantime, for the students that are here, feel free to put any questions in the chat that you might have for us. And I check the chat regularly when I'm conducting sessions and webinars. So if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask them and I can address them during the webinar. May I ask Varun and also Shivangini, which grades you guys are currently in? Are you in grade 12, grade 11? See what the chat says. So grade 12, okay. Okay, so both are in grade 12. And I usually find that most students who join our webinars are in grade 12. And are you both based in the UAE? Saudi, okay, great. Based in Kuwait, okay. So everyone here is in the Gulf region. I was living in Dubai for 2.5 years. I believe Jeffrey's still in Dubai. And I do have plans on going back to Dubai soon. I have yet to go to Kuwait and Saudi, but 2 of my best friends are from there. Jeff, have you been to these countries before?
I've actually never been to Saudi or Kuwait, but I hear they're nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a question on the SAT, and I think Jeffrey would be the best to answer that.
Yeah, sure. So generally, you want to take the SAT 3 times. That's kind of a good rule of thumb. When should you give the SAT? Well, what grade are you in, Shivan?
She's in grade 12.
In grade 12. So you're going into senior year, which means you're probably applying to university this fall because you're probably going to attend university next fall. Is that correct? Yes, good. In that case, you really only have 3 opportunities to take the SAT, and they are right now in August, October, and December. Most college applications, as I'm sure Ariane is going to tell you, are due end of December. So you really, if you don't have your SAT scores by then, you're going to not be able to submit them to universities. So yeah, unless Shavangini, have you taken the SAT before? Did you take it in March or May of this year? Because if you have, that's good. But if you haven't, you're running out of time. So that's the long and short of it. Oh, it was canceled due to COVID. What a bummer. COVID's still messing with our life. Oh. So most students, Shivangini, they start to prepare for the SAT after sophomore year. They start to prepare after grade 10, which means that they usually prepare during grade 11, and they take the SAT during junior year before they go into senior year. So that's usually the best time.
Okay, guys, so it's 11, sorry, it's, I think 7:05 in Dubai, right? Yep. So I think I'm going to start now. And I think my colleague said that others will join in a bit, but let's just start. So Jeffrey, is it okay if I start my slides first?
Oh, I don't have any slides. No one ever sent me a presentation. So I'm assuming you have the whole thing.
No, so I only have my slides, but
I'll find them. I'll find them while you're looking. No
Sure.
problem.
Okay,
I'll dig them up.
great. So you guys can see my screen. Varun and Shivangini, can you see my screen? Yep. Okay, great. All right, so let's get started. So today I'm going to talk a little bit, not a little bit, I will talk about undergraduate scholarships and financial aid at US universities. So just to clarify, Varun and Shivangini, do you plan on applying to the US at all, or are you more into Canada or the UK? No? Okay, well, even if you don't plan on applying to the US, I am going to address any questions that you may have about Canadian admissions and UK admissions. Okay, Australia and India. I will admit I haven't helped students apply to Australia or India, but I'm familiar with so I'm familiar with like the application portals. But I do suggest that you still stay put in this webinar because I'm sure the details that possibly I give and for sure what Jeffrey gives about the SAT will be useful for you. So regarding scholarships and financial aid, this would also be useful for you, Shivangini, because I think I'll go over some sample profiles of students from different parts of the world and how their profiles are particularly strong, both academically and in terms of their extracurricular activities. So a little bit about me. I got my master's degree from Harvard University. I obtained my master's in international education policy. I went to Georgetown for my undergraduate degree. And while I was at Harvard, I was a short-term consultant for UNESCO. So what I was doing was I was developing an open e-learning course on diversity, equity, and inclusion for UNESCO. Right after Harvard, I was a teaching fellow and I was teaching a Harvard Business School course called Authentic Leadership Development in Malaysia, South Korea, and China. Prior to attending Harvard, so between Georgetown and Harvard, I did a few different work experiences in Thailand, for instance. So I worked for the Thailand Ministry of Education. I also taught Arabic at a university in the Philippines. And while I was doing that, I also served as Education USA ambassador for the US Embassy in Manila. And I worked alongside US Ambassador Soong Kim on some initiatives to really promote international study to Filipino students who want to study particularly in the US. So my specialty is the US. However, I have helped students apply to other universities throughout the world. So particularly Canada and the UK. So some of the universities that my students have gotten into include Yale University, Cornell University, the University of Pennsylvania. These three are Ivy League schools, as you might know. Northwestern University, Rice University. Rice is really good for STEM. So if you're into the sciences or technology, engineering, math, Rice would be a great option. Cal, that's UC Berkeley. UCLA, New York University, Emory University, and Carnegie Mellon University, among other schools as well. And for me, in my case, I got accepted into Harvard, UPenn, and Columbia with scholarships. And here's just a screenshot of what was sent to me via email after I confirmed my seat at Harvard. So when you're thinking about financial aid and getting scholarships from universities, and this doesn't, well, what I'm focusing on now is the US. However, this might even apply to Australia as well as other countries. Typically, there's two sorts of aid. There's merit-based scholarships and need-based financial aid. And there's a big difference between the two. So merit-based scholarships come in the form of financial support, and that's based on a student's academic or extracurricular achievements. So Merit-based scholarships, when a student gets a scholarship for something, in this case, it's not because of financial need. It's not because of your financial family situation. They'll look strictly at your profile, your academic as well as your extracurricular profile, and they'll see what sorts of scholarships you qualify for. So for example, common types of scholarships include academic scholarships. So let's say you have a strong SAT score or strong grades in school. You could qualify for certain scholarships for your grades and for your scores. Another example, community service. If you have strong potential for leadership, and if they've seen that you've contributed significantly to your community as a volunteer, for example, if you've helped your community in any way, you could possibly also qualify for certain scholarships. If you're an athlete, so if you play a sport such as tennis or football or basketball, etc., there is also, so some schools have a table tennis scholarship. I just discovered that recently. You could potentially get an athletic scholarship. There's also art scholarships. So if you're a musician or a visual artist like a painter or someone who draws, you could apply for art scholarships. And for that, usually you would have to submit an art portfolio to supplement your application. And also for a lot of public universities, especially, they have scholarships that are particular for certain identities. So for instance, I'm Asian American, so I qualified for Asian American scholarships. There's also scholarships specifically for Black Americans, for instance, Indian Americans as well, or Indians too. So a lot of international, there are some international student scholarships as well. So Duke University, is in the United States, and it's one of the top universities, especially for engineering. They offer the Karsh International Scholars Award, and that's awarded to a number of international students every year, and it's a full ride scholarship. So full ride scholarship, I'll define that in a bit, but a full ride scholarship essentially covers the cost of everything, not just courses in school, but also living expenses, food, etc. Now, need-based financial aid is something that's completely different. For need-based financial aid, the admissions committee and the financial aid office will consider what financial aid you need based off of the student's financial profile. So for this, they'll take into account your family income with no consideration of the student's academic merit. So they won't really pay attention to your academics or extracurricular profile, but they'll pay more attention to your family's financial situation. So to define it briefly, need-based financial aid comes in the form of funds for students based on their level of financial need. So I mentioned full ride scholarship. So what exactly is a full ride scholarship? A full ride scholarship is an award that covers the entire cost of college. That includes tuition, room and board, so board, in other words, meal plans, textbooks, school materials, and oftentimes actually, even living costs and study abroad fees. And I'll get to some examples of full ride scholarships in a bit. So Shivangini has a question that I just saw. I have many prizes for debates or speaking related activities. Is there a scholarship for this? Absolutely. So you could potentially qualify for scholarships. So of course I would have to see your full profile in order to really determine maybe how much of a scholarship you could get. I mean, I can't tell you exactly what you would get from the universities because I'm not an admissions officer. I'm a counselor who helps students with their applications. But if I evaluate your profile, I can give you the chances of, which sorts of schools would offer you scholarships for debate and speaking related activities. But I can give you an example, actually. I have a student that I've helped 2 years ago who did debate a lot, and she got scholarships that ranged from $2,500 US to $16,000 US per year. So she was a very good student. She did MUN, so that's Model United Nations, and also she participated in Toastmasters, which is like a speaking club or organization that's international. So yeah, she got a lot of scholarships for debate. So the details of a full ride scholarship can be different depending on the university, but in essence, the full ride scholarship covers more than just tuition. So what is tuition? Tuition is money paid by students for courses at universities. So in other words, tuition pertains to the academic component. So tuition, it relates to define tuition, that's specifically pertaining to your courses, whereas full ride scholarship, when I refer to a full ride scholarship, that really covers everything involved in college, from the living expenses to the tuition to the room, meal plans, books, etc. Are international students eligible for these scholarships? That's a great question, and I'm going to get to that in, I think, a few slides from now. Okay, so, but let me briefly answer your question. So international students are not eligible for US federal aid. So that's US aid that's given from, that's financial aid that's given from the US government. You wouldn't qualify for federal aid. However, international students do qualify for merit-based scholarships, for certain merit-based scholarships. And I'm actually going to give you a list of 10 full ride scholarships in the US that I would heavily advise that you consider applying to. But to answer your question, Varun, so you wouldn't be, if you're an international student, you would not be qualified to get US federal aid. So that's from the US government. Federal aid is only eligible. So the only people that are eligible for federal aid include US citizens and permanent residents. However, what you would qualify for as an international student is merit-based scholarships. So those are scholarships based off of your academic and extracurricular achievements. Other key vocabulary: need blind versus need aware. So need blind schools do not consider an applicant's financial need when making admissions decisions. Need aware schools do consider an applicant's financial situation in their admissions decisions. Why is this important to know? So if a school is need blind, if you express to a need blind school that you need financial aid or financial assistance, that's not going to hurt your admissions chances. For need aware schools, again, need aware schools do consider an applicant's financial situation in their admissions decisions that could negatively impact your chance of admission to the school. Are there merit-based scholarships for US citizens? Yes, there are. So Adam, I'm assuming that you are a US citizen. So US citizens often qualify for more scholarships, but there are certain scholarships that are only available specifically to international students, such as the Karsh International Scholars Award at Duke University. But to answer your question in short, Adam, yes, there are merit-based scholarships for US citizens. And oftentimes with the scholarships that I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides, both international students and US citizens are eligible for the 10 scholarships that I'm about to show you. Okay. So need blind policies help admissions officers evaluate each applicant on the basis of merit rather than economic class. So again, merit refers to academic and extracurricular achievement. Here we go. So here's some food for thought that I want you guys to think about. Of the 26,000 domestic applicants, so domestic meaning those applying from the US, applicants for admission to the class of 2019 at Harvard, 8,200 students had perfect GPAs in high school. 3,500 students or applicants had perfect SAT math scores, and 2,700 applicants had perfect SAT verbal scores. And yet Harvard only had 1,700 spots to offer. So here's a question for you guys, and feel free to type your answer in the chat. How do you think students that got into Harvard this year or in 2019, how do you think they were able to stand out? So aside from their grades and their SAT scores, what do you think makes a student stand out in their applications? Any ideas? Yep, extracurricular activities. So yes, extracurricular activities will definitely help you stand out. If you have any leadership roles, so if you're in student council or if you're in the UK system, if you're a prefect at your school, Varun said essays, absolutely. Your personal statement, university specific supplemental essays as well. All right. So for international students, so there's actually more need-blind schools for US citizens, but for international students specifically, there's only a total of 6 need-blind schools in the US for international students. And these are the 6 need-blind schools: MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Amherst College. So there's a difference between University of Massachusetts Amherst versus Amherst College, and Dartmouth College. All of these 6 schools are top schools in the States. And to clarify, again, with need blind, these 6 schools will not judge you based off of your family's financial situation. So whatever your family's financial situation is, or if you express to the university that you need financial aid, it's not going to negatively impact your chance of admission. So again, for need-aware schools, your chance of admission will be negatively affected if you say that you need financial assistance. For need-blind schools, your chance of admission will not be negatively affected. If you're applying to the States, there's a few forms that you potentially would need to fill out if you want to apply for financial aid. So the FAFSA is only filled out by permanent residents or US citizens if you need financial aid. Typically, international students will not fill out the FAFSA. What they would fill out if you're an international student is the ISFAA. That stands for the International Student Financial Aid Application. You would also fill out the CSS profile, which is the College Board's College Scholarship Service, if you want to obtain scholarships. Now, all of these forms ask for the following information: your names, your ages, demographics of those in the household, meaning just basic information of those in the household, how many people are there in your household? Do you have any siblings? They might ask for their names as well, their ages as well. Bank statements of your parents, salary slips possibly, tax returns, annual income, and expenses. So all of this bank information stuff, most likely your parents will figure out and will handle. But as someone who's been working in this industry and field for a while now, I have helped parents and students fill out these forms. And I'll talk more about LEAP's counseling services in a bit. So here's a quiz for you guys. Wait, just a minute. Oops. I can't move my. These public figures are notable alumni of which US private university? So where did these 3 famous people go to school? Does anyone know? Any guesses? Harvard. Okay, Shivangini got it. So Harvard University. So this is Mark Zuckerberg. As you might know, he's the Facebook dude. He founded Facebook. Natalie Portman is an actress. And of course, we have Barack Obama, so former US president. All of them went to Harvard University. So before we proceed, I'm going to share a little bit about what we offer at LEAP. So we offer undergraduate counseling services. We also offer SAT preparation, but for these next slides, I'm going to be talking about the counseling services in particular. So our counseling services include profile building. So specifically, you would work with me or another qualified counselor who will help you build your extracurricular profile. We want you to really stand out in your application. So how can we strengthen your extracurricular profile? If you don't have any internships, for example, or online courses on Coursera or edX, I would help identify specific internships for you to pursue. I will also, if I were to work with you one-on-one, I would also suggest colleges for you to consider, whether it's in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, etc. Now, writing is my specialty. I actually got a perfect score on the writing section of the GRE, which is basically the graduate school version of the SAT. And because writing is my forte and my favorite, I love helping students brainstorm, outline, and draft their essays for college. So this includes the personal statement and supplemental essays. Supplemental essays are university-specific essays. I could also help, I guess, provide an outline or a specific format and even sample letters of recommendation. I'll give advice on scholarships to you, such as what I'm doing now, financial guidance, and visa assistance as well. And again, these are where my students have been admitted to among many other universities. And as mentioned in the introduction, I went to Harvard University for my master's and Georgetown for undergrad. And then these are some of the costs of our counseling programs. So we have 4 programs in total. We have the Ivy Advising Program. It is our most comprehensive program. And if you'd like to know more about the program, I do have a brochure that I can send you guys. And I also offer free one-on-one counseling demo sessions. So each one of you today is eligible to have a free one-on-one counseling session with me this week, if you like, or next week, or whenever you're available. So if you want to have that free session with me, usually what we'll cover in that 1 hour one-on-one free session is your academic profile, your extracurricular profile. I'll identify if there's any gaps, if there's anything that we need to strengthen from your profile. And usually during that session, I also provide insight on online courses and internships specifically for you to take that are particular to your personal and academic interests. So for example, if you're into computer science, I can give you a list of computer science related internships and online courses. If you're into pre-medicine, I can also give you a list for that. If you're into law or business, I also have a couple of internships in mind for you and online courses. So if you want to avail of this free session with me, it's 1 hour long. Please just type in the chat that you're interested in that free session, and I'd be happy to get your email and schedule that this week. So we have the Ivy Advising Program, the Global Advising Program, the Elite Advising Program is our most basic package. All the services are covered for all of these 3, and then the Profile Building Program. And if you want that demo session with me, I can explain the differences between these 4 programs more in depth. Now, this is what some of you have probably been waiting for: 10 full ride scholarships in the US for international students, but also for US citizens. So Adam, I assume you might be a US citizen. All of these scholarships that I'm going to cover right now, these are all full ride scholarships. Again, a full ride scholarship covers the entire cost of college, not just tuition, but also living expenses, room and board, books, etc. And international students and US citizens are eligible for all 10 of these. So first is the STAMP scholarship. A number of partner schools, so a number of universities are partnered with the STAMP scholarship organization. So the STAMP scholarship is offered at a lot of universities throughout the United States. And this is awarded to students who demonstrate leadership potential. But grades and personal character are also considered. So usually to obtain the scholarship, there is an interview round. There's a whole application process complete with essays. The Annika Rodriguez Scholarship is awarded by the Washington University in St. Louis. This covers full tuition, so full tuition throughout all 4 years, and offers a $2,500 US annual stipend. So you get $2,500 that you can spend however you wish. And this scholarship is based on grades and SAT scores. And I know a lot of you might be wondering, is the SAT required or is it optional? It's optional for a lot of schools. However, if you want to really stand out in your applications, it's better, like it's highly, highly advisable for you to take the SAT, especially if you want scholarships. So a lot of these scholarships that I'm going to show you still require the SAT in order to be eligible for the scholarships. Next, we have the Trustee Scholarship. A number of universities have some sort of presidential or trustee scholarship. The Trustee Scholarship is awarded by the University of Southern California. Again, this covers full tuition. The SAT is required for this. And in order to qualify for this, you would have to apply early. So you'd have to submit your complete application to USC by December 1st. The Isaac Bashevis Singer Scholarship is awarded by the University of Miami. It offers full tuition. There is no separate application process, but you must apply early. Again, so a word of advice for you guys. If you want a scholarship, one, it's best to take the SAT, and two, it's also best to apply early. So either early action or early decision. So the difference between early action and early decision: with early decision, usually students apply to their first choice school, early decision. And with ED, early decision, you only have the option to apply to one school with the early decision option. And if you get into that school, you would have to commit to that school and you would have to withdraw your other university applications. With early action, you can apply to as many universities as you want with that option. And it's non-binding, so you don't have to commit right away. With both the early action and early decision, so if you choose to apply early, typically the deadline is November 1st. And that means that the last possible time you can take the SAT for these early deadlines would be in October, the October SAT. And then if you apply early, you would hear back the decisions by December 15th, or by around December 15th. So next we have the Urupa Scholarship. This is offered by LMU, or the Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. And this ranges in value from $12,500 US annually to full tuition. And this is based on grades, the rigor of your high school curriculum, so how challenging is your course load, class rank, and SAT scores. The Johnson Scholarship is awarded by Washington and Lee University. This covers, again, 4 full years of funding. Also provides a $7,000 US stipend for summer activities. So if you want to study abroad during the summer or do an internship or some sort of undergraduate research project, you would get $7,000 for that. Next, we have the Alfin Scholars Program awarded by Rollins College. So this is a full ride scholarship awarded to 10 admitted students in the first year. You would get an invitation to join the honors program. You would also get mentorship from the Associate Dean of Advising and the Rollins Office of External and Competitive Scholarships. You'd have the chance to participate in at least one off-campus experience, such as a study abroad program. You would also have the chance to do some undergraduate research with a faculty member, and you'd have the ability to live on campus for free. They would cover your dormitory expenses for 4 years. University of Richmond, so this is in Virginia, I believe. Again, it covers 4 full years of funding. This is important. So you would get priority registration for classes. So something that you're going to discover once you're in college is that it can be really hard to register for the classes that you want. This is because usually there's a lot of students and usually it's a first come, first served basis. But with the Richmond Scholars Program, you would get priority for registering for your classes. So that's great. You would also get a $3,000 US stipend for academic enhancement. This one, standardized tests are optional, so you don't have to take the SAT in order to apply for this particular scholarship. There's no separate application process, and there's also an interview, but there is an interview process for this. And up to 4 Richmond Scholars are awarded to students planning to major or minor in the arts, whether it's music or dance, etc. The Cunniff Presidential Scholarship is awarded by Fordham University. So Fordham is in New York. This covers tuition. So again, tuition is specifically pertaining to courses, room, meal plan, and fees, additional fees. Renewable for 4 years. So this scholarship covers all 4 years. You're eligible for a maximum of $20,000 US over 4 years to use for academic enrichment. So if you want to study abroad, or again, do an internship or some sort of volunteer experience or research, you could use the $20,000 for that. This is awarded to the top 20 to 25 admitted students each year. Recipients are generally ranked in the top 1 to 2% of their high school class. And it's not just based on academics, but what the US really values, along with academic factors, they do look at non-academic factors. So they're also going to look at your personal characteristics, your leadership potential, any community service that you've done to help people in your community as well. And you're not required to submit the SAT for this scholarship. And last but not least, I wanted to share, this is probably the best scholarship, in my opinion, that's out there. This is the Eugene Mcdermott Scholarship awarded by the University of Texas at Dallas. The reason why this is my favorite, you'll see in a bit, they offer so much for the scholarship recipients. So it covers all 4 years, the tuition and every single fee related to college. You would get $1,400 US every month for housing and living expenses. You would get $1,000 US every year for books. You would have up to $12,000 US for an international experience, whether that's studying abroad or doing some sort of work abroad. You would also have up to $3,000 US for a professional development experience. So if you want to get the negotiations certificate from Harvard, for example, or if you want to get a project management certificate, you could use the $3,000 for that. You would get paid trips with other scholarship winners, paid travel home once per year for international students, more than once per year if you're a US citizen. And this is based on academic performance, community service, leadership potential, and you also have to take the SAT. In order to qualify for this, you would have to have a 1490 or higher. So as you might know, the SAT is out of 1600. You would have to have a 1490 or higher in order to even qualify for this scholarship. Most recipients are in the top 5% of their high school class. Okay, last but not least, I wanted you guys to get a sense of what a strong candidate would look like. So 2 students that my colleagues and I have helped in the past are these 2 students that I'm about to talk about have received full ride scholarships to some universities in the States as well as in Canada. So this particular student, she's Indian, however, she was based in Nigeria. And her LinkedIn says that she's a STEM enthusiast and experienced on-air personality with a demonstrated history of working in the tech and media industries. She's skilled in robotics, Python, and broadcasting, amongst other things. She's also very involved with volunteer work as an affiliate of Rotary International. She got a 1570 on the SAT out of 1600, so that's a stellar score. She is also majoring in engineering currently with a particular interest in computer engineering. So I think her internship already started. So she's actually a Microsoft Explorer intern. And during high school, she pursued 2 internships. So one was a pharmaceutical internship and the other was engineering. Even though she pursued engineering, and so she's currently pursuing engineering in college. As you can see, this pharmaceutical one that she did, it didn't really connect with computer engineering, what she's studying now. However, the internship still looked great on her applications because she developed certain skills that really look good on her resume and her application as a whole. So if you pursue an internship, it does not have to necessarily relate to whatever you want to study in college. While in high school, she built and programmed a remote control robot to simulate the role of tech in mitigating the world ocean pollution crisis. So as you can see, this is very, very, very specific. What I would advise to you, if you want to get a scholarship, you should start a project, whether it's building a robot or building a website or building a social media campaign around an issue, and really doing your best, all that you can, to let your project shine. So along with this particular student, she was a founder and on-air personality of a radio show in her country. And she received a full ride scholarship to Dartmouth College. So Dartmouth is an Ivy League school in the United States. She also received full ride scholarships to Vanderbilt and University of British Columbia. So Vanderbilt University is in Tennessee, I believe, and that's in the United States. University of British Columbia is in Canada. Next, we have another student. So I talked earlier about the Karsh International Scholars Award. That's available at Duke University. So this student, he obtained the Karsh International Scholarship at Duke. Currently, he just finished his first year. He's male, he's from the Philippines. And this is what his LinkedIn says. So he's a freshman and Karsh scholar at Duke University, where he plans to pursue electrical engineering and computer science. His current research interests lie in the intersections of sustainability and artificial intelligence, in other words, computational agriculture, in which he has led multiple research projects. He is also active in advocating quality STEM education for underprivileged youth through co-founding a nonprofit organization named Pioneers. Fun fact, he did not take any standardized tests, so he did not take the SAT at all. So here's some hope for you guys. I mean, as I said, it's preferable if you take the SAT. That would make you a much stronger candidate for scholarships. But for certain scholarships, as you could see, the SAT is not required. So currently he's double majoring in electrical and computer engineering and computer science at Duke. Prior to going to Duke, so during high school, he took the data science math skills course on Coursera. Coursera is a platform, by the way, that offers free online self-paced courses. And this data science math skills course that he took was taught by a Duke University professor. And he also co-founded a nonprofit organization called Pioneers. And the purpose of Pioneers is to offer courses in math, biology, chemistry, and physics to underprivileged students. So he's currently in the highest 10% of undergraduate students in the Pratt School of Engineering. He has a 4.0 GPA, grade point average, and the grade point average in the US is out of 4.0. So he has a perfect grade point average. He also pursued 3 internships in high school. So the previous student that I showed, she pursued 2 internships. This particular student pursued 3 internships related to physics, chemistry, environmental science, and computer science. Now, something to let you guys know, it doesn't matter the number of internships you pursue. What matters is the quality of your work. So remember that quality is more important than quantity. The ultimate goal, his ultimate goal, is to provide microsatellites that can help minimize the harsh effects of the weather to farmers in the Philippines. And his father is a farmer. So these are 2 things. So just to note again, similar to the last student I just showed you, this student here is very, very specific. So the more specific you are in your applications, the better. If you have a specific career goal that you want to achieve, you should definitely put that in your supplemental essays, in your university specific questions. You should mention it in your application somewhere. So as you can see, his goal is very specific, and he also made it personal. He wants to help out farmers, and he's inspired by his own father, who is a farmer. So I want to thank you guys for your time. We still have one other speaker, my colleague Jeffrey, who's going to be talking about the SAT. But in case you want that one-on-one session with me, here's my email address. I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys as well. So it's Aryen j.kalingo@leapfinance.com. And again, I'm just going to tell you guys, I offer free one-on-one counseling demo sessions. So all of you are eligible to have that free counseling session with me. It's 1 hour long. During that session, I'll evaluate your academic and extracurricular profile. I'll also give you internships on online courses that you could potentially pursue. And we could also talk about universities if you'd like. So if you want to have that free session with me, please feel free to email me. All right. The floor is yours, Jeff. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ariane. Cool, guys. So let me share my screen here. Yes. All right. So guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the standardized tests that you need for admissions. You heard a little bit from Ariane about them. Hopefully I will shed a little bit more light on them for you. So do me a favor, guys. If you have any questions as we go through the presentation, don't wait to the end. Please ask them as we go. There's really nothing I dislike more than talking to myself. So yeah, I encourage you guys to ask questions. So let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Jeffrey. I've been a teacher for about 14 years now. I've been doing standardized testing for almost a decade. I have my bachelor's from NYU. I'm currently getting my master's in education from Purdue. So yeah, I am currently teaching an SAT group class here for LEAP that should end right before the August SAT. The second class is tomorrow. So we can talk about having some of you guys join if you're at all interested. Let's talk about the SAT though, because Ariane has told you a lot about US admissions. So let me tell you more about specifically the SAT. Now, you may or may not know this exam is 4 sections. You have a reading section, a writing section, and then you have 2 math sections, one in which you get to use a calculator and one in which you do not. The reading and writing section are scored from 200 to 800, and these scores are added together to give you that 3 to 4 digit score that colleges are looking for. That score from 400 to 1600. Do I have any math students in the audience who want to tell me what is halfway between 400 and 1600? Anybody want to do a little bit of math? 600. No. Halfway between 1400 and 1600. Halfway between there, Adam, thank you, is 1,000. Now, what that means is that literally 50% of the students who take the SAT every year get about 1,000 or less. 50% of students get 1,000 or more. Now, everybody that I talk to, when I ask them what score do you want to get on the SAT, they're like, oh, sir, 1,500, of course. 1,500 is the 99th percentile. That means 1% of students who take the SAT get a 1,500 or above, and 99% of students get a 1,500 or below. If students do really well on the SAT, like the vast majority of students do really well, then the College Board, who makes the SAT, would change how the test is scored to maintain that percentile. So it's not a matter of everybody getting a 1,500 plus. That statistically cannot happen. So great. This is the most common question I get from prospective students and parents. Guys, what is a good score on the SAT? Rania, Shivanjini, Anirudh? What is a good score on the SAT? Varun, Adam? $1,450 plus. Okay, so this is a trick question. Thank you for playing along with me Varun, but it is a trick question. A good score on the SAT gets you into the university you are applying to. A great score on the SAT gets you money in terms of merit aid. You can see, okay, let me explain this chart here. Every year, universities release the middle 50% of the incoming freshman class's SAT scores. Now let's look at, for example, my alma mater here, NYU. If I look at the last year's the incoming freshman class's average SAT scores, the middle 50% had a score between a 1350 and a 1510. 25% had below a 1350, 25% had above a 1510. Now you can see, if you look up over here at Harvard and Columbia, you can see how wild these statistics are, because they imply that a full 25% of the incoming freshman class at each of these schools had above a 1580 or a 1590. So wild. If, for example, take a look at George Washington down here. Great university, especially if you want to study politics. It's located in DC, right? If you had above a 1460, you would be in the top 25% of the average applicants for that school. George Washington, under those circumstances, would be more likely, but not guaranteed, more likely to give you merit aid scholarships, because you're in the top of the demographic that they are searching for. So that's just an example of how to use SAT scores to interpret university data. Do you guys have any thoughts or any questions? I encourage you to ask. All right. Okay, let's continue, guys. Another big question I get from students is, hey, when should I take the SAT? I think somebody even asked me that. Now, if you're going into your final year of school, then this is it. You've only got these last 4 test dates. The upcoming, oh, sorry. This is it right here. The upcoming August, October, and December SAT tests. If you are going into junior year, then you have almost 18 months to prepare. Now, if that is you, then you are ahead of the game. You are on the right track. You should prepare to take the SAT 3 times. Look, you can take it once this fall in either August, October, or December, right? You can take it, or you should take it one more time in spring of next year, which would be March, May, or June. And then you should take it one final time in fall of senior year in August, October, or December. This way you can take the SAT 3 times and submit your best scores. Shivanjini asks, aren't in some colleges only 2 attempts considered good? Now, good question. Universities generally don't care if you take the SAT 1, 2, or 3 times. There's no admissions officer in the world who's going to go, well, gee, look at this student here. They took the SAT 3 times. I don't think I want to accept this student. No, they would never do that. If you took the SAT 4, 5, 6, 7 times and you never improved, an admissions officer might say, what is this kid doing? Why did they take it, 5 times and their score never went anywhere? Don't they know how to study? Don't they know how to cut their losses or analyze their weaknesses? Like it would look a little funny, but 3 times is perfectly legitimate. Absolutely. Conversely, colleges are not going to look at one score and think, oh, look at this student. This kid got the score in 1 shot. Wow, that's awesome. They're not going to care about that either. They just want to see the scores. Guys, your SAT scores are only one small piece of your application. They help you with merit aid. They help universities evaluate you, but they're not going to get you into universities by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Good. Thanks for that question, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I have one for you guys. Why do students hate standardized tests? Do you guys know? Why do students hate these tests? Anirudh, Adam, why do students hate standardized tests? No guesses? Oh, Jeff, I love standardized tests. I don't hate standardized tests. All right. They're tricky. Yes, thank you, Adam. Wonderful. So students hate standardized tests because why do you think they're tricky, Adam? You think they're tricky because they are tricky. The SAT is literally trying to trick you. Let me illustrate that point. What color, guys, is this television? What color is this television? Thank you, Varun. This is white. Say the word silk 5 times. Silk, 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 silk. Now tell me, what do cows drink? How are you guys saying water? You're supposed to say milk. And then I'm supposed to correct you and say, guys, cows don't drink milk. They drink water. They give milk. You know the riddle? Shivanagini, how do you know the riddle? This is preposterous. I thought preposterous. All right. So the point that I'm trying to make, guys, is that the SAT can influence your thinking. Apparently, you guys are also highlighting the fact that if you can be made aware of how the SAT is trying to trick you, you will not get tricked. Let me give you a sample question about how the SAT tries to trick you. Let's do a sample question. And Shivangini Varun will see if this question tricks you. Any answers, guys? Okay. Okay. So most students, or not most, some students will see that the card is discounted by 20% and 25%, and they will add those up and conclude that the greeting card is a total of 45% off. In actuality, what you have to do is say, okay, let's pretend that we have the most expensive greeting card in the world. It is a $100 greeting card. If we take 20% off, that is a total of $80 that we are now paying for that greeting card. If we take an additional 25% off of this $80 discount, we are going to take a quarter off, which is an additional 20%. I'm sorry, it's an additional $20. The total cost of the gift card is now $60, which brings our total discount to 40%. There we go. So did I trick anybody? Be honest. Did anybody get tricked? Or are you guys just too good for that? Yes. Okay, Adam. So you can see, the SATs, mean. They really want you to make careless mistakes. Now, I'm going to teach you a couple of, no, I'm not going to teach you a couple of techniques. I'm going to teach you one technique, and I'm going to show you this one technique on several sample problems. So let's give this question here a try. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to x squared plus 8x plus 12? Now, if your math teacher gave you this quadratic, you might factor it. Oh, well, it's just x plus 6, x plus 2. Haha, Jeff, you cannot trick me, you say. Well, take a look at the answer choices. Sure, the first two answer choices are x plus 6, x plus 2, but what is this extra little bit of nonsense? Plus 4x. So what on earth is going on here? If you are in this position, then you are in the company of the average test taker, because that's what the average test taker does. Let me show you how you would solve this after taking a prep course. I'm going to pretend that x is 2. I'm going to pretend that x is 2. So let's take this expression that we were given, x squared plus 8x plus 12, and let's plug in an x value of 2. That's going to become 4 plus 16 plus 12. And if you add that up, you're going to get 32. Now we're going to take that value of 2 that we made up, and we're going to plug it into all the answer choices. Answer choice A is going to give us 8 times 4 plus 4, which is 36. Answer choice B is going to give us 40. C is going to give us 32. And D is going to give us 28. So we know the answer has to be B. So this is a strategy I like to call making up numbers, where we simply pull numbers out of thin air and plug them into the problem. Thoughts, guys, questions, comments, concerns, difficulties? All right. Would this be calculator? Probably not. No, this would not be a calculator question. This would be a no calculator question. Why, you need a calculator to solve this question? All right. Let's try another one, guys. I'll give you a minute to solve. All right. Any vote on the correct answer here? Any suggestions on how we should solve this? Yes, I see. Yes, good. Okay. So let me see if you guys solved it the same way that I would have solved it. We've got two characters here, Adam and Billy. The accountant works 3 hours longer on Billy's job than Adam's job. So I want to make up a number for Adam and say that the accountant worked 2 hours for Adam. If he worked 2 hours for Adam, he's going to work 3 hours longer for Billy. So that means that Billy would, the accountant would have had to have worked for 5 hours on Billy's job. Now, let's calculate the value of P based on both of these values of T, and we'll get 100 and 175 respectively, which means how much less did he charge Adam? He charged $75 less. Bam. So there we go. All right, one more. All right, any votes? Any ideas? Okay. All right, is Varun the only one with a guess here? All right, so let's see how we should solve this. First thing I'm going to do is read the first sentence. It says, the arithmetic mean of Q and 10 is S. So I have translated that into this equation here. Let's make up a number. Varun, did you make up a number for this problem? Did you pretend that Q was some number? No, I did not. Okay, fair. I'm going to pretend Q is 2. Now, if I make Q 2, it means that I can now solve for S. So if I make Q 2, S is 6. Now, if I replace S with 6, this is going to become 12. And I can now solve for R. So R is 8. Now we just have to replace this Q over here and this R here with 2 and 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. 10 over 2 is 5. Done. So that's how I would use making up numbers to solve this question. Now, these last 3, were they kind of easy? Yes, they were. Fine. Let's do a medium and then 2 hard ones. Yes, Shavangini, after the trick, it's a little easier. But let's try some like actual legit hard questions. All right, let's take a look at this question. It says the cost of purchasing B bottles of water is D dollars. So let's make up numbers. Let's pretend that the cost of purchasing, I don't know, 10 bottles of water is, let's go with $20. Now, why did I pick 10 bottles of water for $20? Because it means that one bottle of water is $2, which seems reasonable to me. So now when the question asks, what is the cost of purchasing 10 B bottles? Well, wait, we already made up a number for B. B is 10. So they're actually asking for the price of 100 bottles. So how much would it cost to purchase 100 bottles? The answer would be $200. So now what we want to do is plug the B and D values into the answer choices. And then we want to see which answer choice or which answer choices give us 200. I will leave the rest as an exercise for the student, but you could also simply say, yes, Varun, you are correct. You could say, guys, C is way too large. A is going to be way too small. D, 1,000 over 20. No, that's 500. So you're left with B. Good. Okay. Let's try this one. Aha, two more. This is the second to last one, guys. All right, let's take a look here. What do we have? S represents the seconds that the satellite has been traveling. Okay. D represents the distance that the satellite travels. And the question wants to know the average speed. Well, wait a minute. We have a formula for average speed. Speed is distance over time, or distance is speed times time, right? DST or DRT, the DIRT formula, if you're calling it distance equals rate times time. So let's make up a number for S. Let's pretend that S is 4. So I'm picking 4 for a very good reason, because if you plug 4 into this equation, we're going to get 25 times 4 times the square root of 4. Now the square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And 8 times 25 is 200. So I know that the distance we have traveled will be 200 meters if the time that the satellite has been traveling is 4 seconds. So now you can tell me the time. The time is distance over speed, which is 50. So now I'm just going to plug 4 into all the answer choices, and you guys can very clearly see which answer choice gives us 50. It's practically like magic when you apply this strategy. We're going to get answer choice B. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 25 is 50. And that's what we're looking for. Cool. All right, last one. I love this question because it's so silly. But let's give this one a try. All right. So let's think about what we have here. We have a busboy stacking glasses, and we want to know the height of the stack of glasses. Fine. One glass, we are told, is 13.5 centimeters. When two glasses are stacked together, the second glass protrudes 5 centimeters above the first. So if we have an n value of 2, if we have two glasses, then we should get a total height of what? 18.5, right? Let's think about why that is. If we had a single glass, the height would be 13.5. For every additional glass that we add, we're going to add 5 centimeters. If we had 3 glasses, how tall would our glass tower be? Well, it would be 13.5 plus 10, so it would be 23.5. So we have a lot of different numbers that we can plug in to the answer choices. Now, this first answer choice A, it works when you plug in an n value of 1, but it does not work if you plug in an n value of 2. So this answer choice is out. Answer choice B. This works if you plug in an n value of 1. But if you plug in an n value of 2, you get 22. So that's not what's going on here. In the third answer choice, if we plug in an n value of 1, it works. But what happens if you plug in an n value of 2? 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 18.5 is 18.5. So, this one seems to work. If we plug in 3, we also get a value of 23.5. But what happens if you try answer choice D? Well, an n value of 1 will work. Oh, wait, no, it will not work. Plugging in an n value of 1 gives you 18.5, and we're looking for 13.5. So answer choice D does not work. So it doesn't matter. So that means that C here is the right answer. So if you guys went 5 for 5, give yourselves a pat on the back there. You have my full endorsement to go ahead and pat yourselves on the back. If you are interested in doing some prep for the August SAT, I am more than willing to chat with you about our current ongoing SAT group class. I can put you in touch with the sales team. If you want to, as Ariane mentioned, if you want to talk to about college counseling, you are more than welcome to do that as well. But that brings us to the end of the presentation. Do you guys have any questions for us? We love questions. I love questions. I'm sure Ariane loves questions.
So, can you guys still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as mentioned for counseling, I do offer demo sessions, one-on-one free counseling demo sessions. All of you can avail one free one-on-one, 1 hour long counseling session with me. If you'd like to meet this week, I have availability this week, as early as tomorrow, in fact. During that demo session, I talk about your academic and extracurricular profile. I'll go over your profile with you, identify if there's any gaps. And typically I give students a list of internships and online courses based off of their interests. So for instance, if you're into computer science, or if you're into law or medicine, et cetera, I can give you a list of relevant internships for you, as well as online courses. And we could also talk about universities and scholarships as well, depending on your interests. So if you want to avail of that, please feel free to reach out. And I've put my, So I had put my email address in the chat. For some reason, I can't put it anymore. I don't think I have access to do so, but it's ariane.kalingo@leapfinance.com. Am I a host or?
I just made you host again, so.
Okay. Oh, here we go. So ariane.kalingo@leapfinance.com. All right, guys. So I put my email address in the chat in case you have any questions, or if you want to avail of that free one-on-one, 1 hour long demo session with me. Thanks, guys. If you don't have any other questions for Jeffrey or for me, we can end this now. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing you at future webinars. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.